Recently, the Palm Springs Kiwanis Club had another great speaker. Let's listen in.
I'm an officer, not a sergeant. I didn't correct him originally because it was nice to hear Sergeant Radford a few times. I got promoted for an hour or so this morning, which was nice. Except for I didn't get the 20% pay raise, but that's all right. Also, Bob was the president of this club before I was born, so nice work. My name's Mike Radford. I'm the public information officer at the Indio CHP office. Very interesting position. Definitely, when I applied for the CHP, I never thought that I would be doing something like this, or most of the things I do in my day-to-day career at this point. I've been a highway patrol officer for 9 years. I joined the highway patrol almost as early as you can. Went to the academy 2 months after I turned 21. I grew up in Yucca Valley, so right down the street here. Originally, I actually worked in the Joshua Tree office. I thought that was going to be a good idea because I was familiar with the area, and I just thought that it'd be a smooth transition for me to start. However, it was a little awkward because, as you know, it's a pretty small town. So I'd run into some interesting situations, stop a girl from high school, and she would say, "Oh my gosh, Mike Radford, how are you?" And I'd take her to jail for a DUI. That happened. I arrested probably 15 people I knew. I really did not like that. It was awkward. It's not really my personality to have those situations occur, so I left. I went to San Diego and worked for the Highway Patrol in San Diego. So it was kind of from fairly slow office to one of the busiest offices in the state. San Diego is a very large area, especially for a metropolitan area. Like, for instance, in LA area, there's Santa Fe Springs, East LA, South LA, West LA, Central LA, Santa Ana, all sorts of offices, but San Diego, there's only one office. So very, very busy. I loved working down there. I loved living down there. I loved the guys and girls that I worked with. I actually missed them a lot. The reason why I came back to Indio, I just kind of miss being around my friends and family. They're close by here. So without being too close to stopping someone I know every few days, I came to Indio. Indio jurisdiction covers basically from Whitewater all the way out to Desert Center, if you know where that is, towards Blythe. That's Highway 170. It's also called Highway 177. We take that all the way to the San Bernardino County line, past Vidal Junction. We also take Highway 86 to the Imperial County line, 86th Avenue, and we also handle Highway 62 up to the San Bernardino County line on the Morongo grade, and everything unincorporated in between. So it is a very large area size-wise. Unfortunately, we're very short-staffed right now. Ever since when I first got here, it was about 5 years ago. Honestly, I hated it when I first got here. I'm not going to lie. Mostly just because it's so hot. When you have 30 extra pounds of gear on, I don't know, maybe the prior military guys kind of understand how that is. It's just miserable when you get stuck out at a call for 4 hours in the beaten sun. And so I wanted to leave right away. I was actually going to transfer out right after I got here 5 years ago, but we didn't have any money, so we stopped hiring people. So when we stopped hiring, that means there's no more transfers. So I got stuck here for about 2.5 years. It's grown on me. I enjoy living here. I live in Palm Desert now. I still have a home up in Yucca, but my parents actually live in it right now. So helping them out a little bit with that. I've been doing the PIO position now for about 2.5 years. So my job very different than the typical highway patrolman's job. As he was saying, every morning at 6:15 and 6:45, I do the time saver traffic on KESQ, the ABC station. So I'm very comfortable now doing that. The first time I ever did it, I was literally shaking when there's 4 cameras in your face and seemingly thousands of lights, it seemed like. And I was just thinking there, what the heck did I do this for? Why did I decide to agree to do this? Now, it's just a typical morning, I guess, for me. But the people over there are pretty cool. I enjoy working around them. And then I also talk at a couple radio stations daily, and that's mostly just construction going on in the valley, any major events, classes, different things I have going on. that we're promoting. So I do enjoy doing that. I also do things like this, come and talk to random groups. And I basically will go to preschools and teach senior citizen driving classes. So, and everything in between.
Preschool.
Yeah. So I'm pretty comfortable in these situations. It kind of fits my personality a little bit. Originally was hesitant. I actually didn't apply to have this position. The guy that was doing it before me, I don't know if anyone remembers from watching the news, his name was Joe Zagorski, the bald dude. He promoted to sergeant legitimately, not just for an hour sitting here. He went to Fresno, so they needed to fill the spot. They put out a briefing item, so every day at the beginning of our shifts, we sit down like this, the sergeant talks to us and tells us where we're going to work that day, what's going on, any relevant information that we need to know about, and they will bring up these briefing items. Hey, we have this public information officer position's available, anybody that's interested, we need you to submit a memo, and we're going to do interviews, and we'll choose somebody. And I had never put in for any other special duty position, which is administrative positions. I work out of the office, which is what I do now. My plan and goal was to work at least 10 years just working on the streets before I did anything else. That's what I felt like I signed up to do. That's what I had every intention of doing. And one of the sergeants pulled me aside and said, "Hey Mike, we think that you would be a good PIO, so we want you to consider putting a memo in." I did not do that. I got pulled aside again. Hey, what's going on with that memo? And I was like, well, I actually was trying to leave. I had a transfer. I had a transfer in to leave the area. And if I took this position, one of the contingencies was that I had to pull that transfer, which was obviously a big decision. So then I did not put in the memo, and then a higher commander pulled me aside after that, and then I realized that maybe it was in my best interest to go with the program. But I don't mind it. I like that it comes with positive interaction on a daily basis. Here's the thing, working the road, the typical highway patrolman's day, if you work during the day, you're going to write a lot of tickets. You're going to help people that break down. You're going to take crashes, write your reports, and that's kind of the typical day-to-day highway patrol daytime worker. When you work at night, a little bit different. That's when you're going to write, you're still going to write your tickets, but that's when you're arresting people pretty much every single day for DUI. Sometimes you're going to find some guns and drugs and maybe chase somebody around in your car or on foot. I preferred that CHP lifestyle. I enjoyed working the graveyard shift. That's what I worked most of my career before I came inside the office. It just was a little bit more fun for me, I think, to do that. When you work during the day, you work by yourself. When you work at night, at least for our department, you actually have a partner in the car with you, which is, it can be a lot of fun. I've had, when I worked in Joshua Tree, I worked with a guy I went to high school with, very good friend of mine. I felt like I was just hanging out with one of my best friends, but we were taking people to jail every day. And then when I worked in San Diego, absolutely loved my graveyard partner. I ended up being a groomsman in his wedding. It's definitely a bond that you create with someone that you work with. You see them more than almost anybody in your life because you're with them. Well, we were working 12 and a half hour shifts. You're with them for 8 of them, and you see them more than you see all your friends. Yeah. Maybe your significant other you would see more than that, but that's it. So obviously, big thing. So here I had several different partners. I never really found one that I wanted to work with full time. Then I took this position. Anyway, when you work out on the road, your interactions are not necessarily the happiest. People aren't excited to get a ticket. People don't want to go to jail. As much as I think I might be a fun guy to hang out with, if I just arrested you, you probably don't want to hang out with me for 2 hours. So it can wear on you a little bit over time, and some people get a little hardened by it. I don't want to use the word normal. I think that I'm just a little bit more low-key than a lot of other officers. Some people, it can change you a little bit. And you see a lot of bad stuff. You see a lot of dead people, and that kind of thing can affect certain people certain ways. I feel like I've always been pretty good at separating my work life from my regular life. and I just try to enjoy myself on my time off as much as possible. But that day-to-day negative interaction, and I always treated people politely, respectfully, and professionally when I stopped them, but that doesn't mean that they weren't disappointed to see me. So the fact that I can go out and do something like this on a day-to-day instead of that constant negative vibe, I guess, around, it makes it's a little bit nicer, kind of fits my personality. So some of the programs that we do, I teach this a senior driving class. It's called Age Well, Drive Smart. So I don't know if any of you guys are part of any groups that you would like that to be presented to you. I can give you a card. We offer it. Yeah, we offer it. It's free. It's free of charge. And we talk about the effects of aging, how your driving changes over time, all sorts of things, alcohol, medications, laws, and different things like that. I do that with teens as well. Every single month I teach a class called Start Smart. It's for kids that are getting their licenses and stuff like that. Similar, well, not focusing on the older effects of aging, but just more about how to avoid collisions, driving safely and smart. Has anyone ever heard of every 15 minutes in here? We just did one of these. We're doing a couple this year, but we just did one at Rancho Mirage High School last year. It's a major production. It takes about 6 months to plan it. And what they do is they take some kids from the school. They kind of put the program together. It's a DUI program, so they'll film a film with a court scene with a real judge and attorney, parents being notified that their kids were killed in a DUI collision. They'll film at the cemetery, all these different scenes. They make this video, and then no one at the high school knows about it except for the kids that are actually involved. We stage a crash at the school, but they pull all the juniors and seniors out of their classes, and they don't know that this is going to happen. They stage a crash with actual cars, and then the kids have makeup, and they look like they just got, some of them are killed in the crash, and they film it, and they throw like a flashbang out, and then it starts where they pull tarps off, and now these cars are here, and there's people. They act out a scene of basically there was a drunk driver that hit somebody, and people ended up dying. So they bring in a real ambulance, real fire, real police officers, fly in a helicopter. They do all this, make this big production out of it. And just like when you show up to a regular crash, they do an investigation. And then they balance out the driver, make him do all the tests and whatnot, and arrest him. And that night, they take the kids that are involved, and we have a retreat. They take them overnight to a hotel, and we do games and have guest speakers, and we try to basically instill into them, ideally around prom time or something like that, the dangers of driving under the influence. The next day they have a big assembly, they bring in guest speakers, and everyone from the school gets to see it, and they show the video. So it's a huge thing. Well, we're doing that at a couple schools this year. Another program, Impact Teen Drivers, is one that we do where they kind of similar, just focuses on distracted driving and reckless driving for kids. So we're trying to hammer on the kids early because distracted driving to cell phones, is, you guys have seen it just being out and about. It seems like it's getting worse and worse. The last time that I worked, just a cell phone specific overtime, I wrote 20 tickets in a day, pretty easily. And when I'm in my patrol car, I only see probably a fourth of the ones that I would see when I'm out in my own car, because they see me down the road, they put it away. I can't tell because you can't see that far. But when you're in your regular car, you see it. It seems like almost everybody's on their phone. So everybody, that's the kind of the new education that we're really pushing on younger people and older people too, because I don't know if you guys know, when seatbelts were first put in vehicles, the compliance rate was like 15%.
Is that right?
Nobody wore it. Well, now through all the enforcement and education, it's like 96% or something compliance rate. So same with DUI. It used to be, the reason why they named that program every 15 minutes, because a long time ago, every 15 minutes, somebody would die in an alcohol-related crash in America. And now it's about 1 out of every 57 minutes. So it's gotten much better. Those are things that used to be focused on. Well, now distracted driving seems like it's the new thing that needs to be addressed. So we're really trying to hammer that into to kids. A couple of new laws that came up in the last year, if you were unfamiliar. One of them probably doesn't apply to you, but it's about child safety seats. Anybody For those infant carrier, for newborns, they had them you have to face them rear facing. Now you have to do that for 2 years, required by law. A lot of times people would flip them around as soon as possible because they want to see the kids when they look back. But it's much safer for them to stay rear facing for as long as possible. So that's a law that they just put into place. I don't know if you guys have heard about the yellow alert system yet. You know how there's alert systems seemingly for everything now, amber alert, silver alert, blue alert. They just started a yellow alert system. It's for hit and runs. So if there's a hit and run with major injuries or a death involved, they'll actually activate the signboards on the freeways and only localized to where the crash was. That's something that they had never done before with the license plate number. So people will help us hopefully catch more people. You guys know about the 3 feet rule for bicyclists, right? And I know everyone hates talking about bikes, but in order to pass a bicyclist, you have to pass them with at least 3 feet of room. So the problem that they ran into was there's some roads where you can't pass with 3 feet of space because there's not enough room in the lane, or they're sticking out. So do you guys know about the rule that kind of more used to focus on like big rigs and stuff like that? If you're on single lane each way, you know, if there's a vehicle that's driving at or below the speed limit and 5 cars get stacked up behind it, they're required to get off the road as soon as they reasonably can. That applies to bicyclists now. So if they are on a road and there's no room to pass and then cars start getting packed up, they're actually required by law to get out of the way. So
meaning the bicyclist.
The bicyclist has to.
Do they?
Well, yeah. Officers have been strongly encouraged to cite.
For more, go to KIWANIS PALM SPRINGS.org.